that'd be great. Awesome. And we will turn it over to you, Jessica.
All right, perfect. Okay, so this map is from this morning. First off, let me introduce myself. Sorry, I'll take a step back. I'm Jessica Geib. I'm with Pinellas County Human Services, but I'm actually an emergency manager. I liaison between our department and the emergency management department. So for those of you that are new, traditionally one of the projects that we partner with you all with is sharing information when we're under some sort of tropical event, or really any event. We did this during COVID as well. And so the purpose of this call is kind of twofold. One, so that I can share information from the EOC with the Emergency Operations Center with you guys. And then two, as the event progresses, if there are unmet needs out in the community that you're finding, trends that you're seeing, just so that we can kind of get back some situational awareness from those of you in the field, to either one, help maybe potentially support you, and two, get ahead of kind of any major issues that we may see in the community before they kind of spiral out of control. So I've invited Dominique, if you're familiar with her, from my office, who will kind of also help me with this piece of it. And we'll kind of navigate as we move forward. So thanks for hopping on this call last minute. So I'm sure you're aware we're in the middle of the cone of uncertainty and looking at a potential major event within the next few days. And so really the messaging at this point, and really one of our biggest concerns over here, is that the system still called Tropical Depression 9 has not actually been named yet. And we know people tend to pay a little more attention when an event's been named because it kind of gives a severity around it. But the tricky part of this event is that it's going to happen over the weekend. So folks may not be caught off guard with the rapid intensification that this system is going to unfold. And so this map is a little bit old. They'll be issuing a new advisory as we get a little bit closer to, I think, the 5 o'clock hour. But you can see here that we're looking at the potential of a major hurricane impact within the next few days. So what that means for us, number one, certainly don't focus on just that kind of center line. Anywhere inside of that cone is where potential landfall can make impact. And so you'll see we're really close to the center of where the impact zone could be. And so even if it's not a direct impact to our community, we still are anticipating some major impact just based on the severity of the intensification. All that to say, what does that mean for you guys? We haven't officially put the word out yet, but we are looking at potentially opening up shelters here in Pinellas County. Like I said, we're kind of waiting for a couple of more factors to buy into what that timeline will look like, but we want you to know that that's sort of what's on the horizon and the radar for us. We kind of look at things around here as our best, mid, and worst case scenario. Best case scenario, of course, is just maybe a tropical storm impact on the kind of outer edge of the event. But some of the models are showing that it could intensify up to a Cat 5. I don't want to panic you because I know that that kind of sets off alarms and alerts, but we always plan a little bit on the side of caution here just because we don't want to be caught off guard. So know that regardless of the impacts, again, this is going to be a major system to our area. We're looking as far as timeline. As you can see here, it'll change and deviate a little bit, but potentially seeing some of those winds starting as early as Monday morning. All that being said is we're still sort of in a waiting pattern as well. We're pretty confident that we'll have some better data to use as far as decision making starting tomorrow, simply because we'll have to start making some of those decisions when you factor in like evacuation timelines, etc. Let's see. So what we want to do is have everyone really taking the time to monitor, especially through tomorrow, any of the information that's coming out through the media from Pinellas County Emergency Management that will talk about when shelters will be opening, which shelters will be opening, what evacuations are issued, what level evacuations are issued, etc. So be sure to tune into that. I'm going to start sending the daily emails out. I usually send those at the end of the day. That'll kind of give a brief synopsis of what we're looking at for that next day. Let's see, as another reminder, I believe Dominique came and she picked these up, but there are evacuation transportation cards. They're just really a reminder for folks. And I think these are going to be distributed, and Dominique can talk about that. But the key piece of information here for you to pass along to your clients is that when evacuation orders are issued, when shelters are scheduled to be open, PSTA buses become free for anyone, and they will take anybody to any of the open shelters to stay. So that's not limited to homeless, not homeless. Any shelter that Pinellas County opens is available to any of our folks here, and PSTA will take you there. The citizen information line should be opening sometime tomorrow, and I'll include that information in the email so that if you have folks that have questions, that's a great way for them to call in and get those questions answered. Things like what shelter is open, what's the evacuation level, what should I bring to a shelter, kind of that basic information. A great piece of information, and we push this out a lot, is the Alert Pinellas app. It's a free app anybody can download on their phone, and it'll you can set it to that you'll receive notifications. So as evacuations are issued, you can go on there and see what level you're in, what shelter close to you is open, all kinds of kind of really critical information. So we encourage anyone to download that app onto any of their devices. And then the only other piece that I have is about special needs. We've talked about this a little bit. If you have residents or guests, or you engage with clients that maybe qualify for the special needs program, and what I mean by special needs is like they're oxygen dependent, or they have additional medical needs. Pinellas County has a special needs registry. We highly encourage you to make sure that you're registered as early as you can. You can register throughout the year. That program allows us to help with evacuation transportation needs, and also to kind of do more pre-planning for our special needs shelters. And so, as you can imagine, setting up a special needs shelter for oxygen dependent or folks that may need additional nursing assistance take a lot of moving pieces. And so the more information and the more data we have prior to an event, it helps us better plan for having those guests in our shelter as well. So I'll include all of this information, because I know I'm kind of throwing a lot at you, in very brief, detailed bullet points so that you can remember what I'm talking about and then go to any links of things that you may need to know. Dominique, did you want to talk about kind of your distribution plan for the transportation cards?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Dominique Randall here. I've connected with most of our day centers, street outreach, PATH teams, HLA, as well as Bayside clinics to get a lot of those information and flyers out. And they are connecting those to some of the other day centers like St. Vincent Paul, Clearwater, Tarpon Shepherd Center, things like that. If you all want those cards, they're a brochure, or like a third of a sheet, basically blue card, Spanish on one side, English on the other, with access pickup points, as well as in the event when that is called, there is free transportation on any of the PSTA buses. If you would like those specifically for your organization, please go ahead and put your name in the chat, or just your email, just in case, or reach out to me directly. And I'll make sure those are either on their way or to you already, or getting them to you soon.
Perfect. And I think in the chat was a question about Alert Pinellas. That's the old name, and I'm forever going to call it that. It's actually the Ready Pinellas app. You'll be able to find it in the App Store and download it. So it's Ready Pinellas, and that keeps updated information. That QR code also on the bottom of the transportation cards will take you to kind of all of that updated information as it changes too. So it's really the best tool for anybody to be able to use. They can link right to the website with the updated info. With that, I guess I'll open it up for questions, if anybody has any questions or thoughts. Not the news you wanted on a Friday afternoon, I'm sure. I tell my staff when they see my name on an email, please just don't delete it, at least read it first. So the other question is, so I'll send out emails every day in the evening, usually with updated information. I guess the next question is, do we want to hold a call over the weekend? Is that useful? Will the email suffice? Do we want to hold a call on Monday? What kind of works best for the group? And I can't see if any hands are up.
I see Jen's hand. If you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hey, sorry,
Yeah.
I was on, the audio was on the other meeting. That's why I couldn't
Yeah.
hear it before. Yeah, so I'm gonna say, I would say Monday for me. I think that it's not scheduled till Wednesday if it does come this way. So I'm not sure it would be beneficial, a day or two from now. But I just want everybody to know that, depending on, if this goes this way, that please use my cell phone. I'll put it in the chat if somebody, because our phones might go down. If somebody needs diapers, we've got a really large amount of diapers, mainly 1s, 2s, and 3s. But, we can help anybody that at least needs that. We've got lots of clothes. So any baby items, I'll put my number in the chat so you have it.
I'm seeing in the chat, I think Monday works for a lot of folks.
And I would say, I agree with Monday. Jessica, do you anticipate that prior to Monday, you'll know whether the shelters are opening or not, or?
Yeah, so my hope is that, because again, evacuations take a lot of time, especially the larger the evacuation, just when you think about cars on the road, et cetera. We should have a pretty good idea tomorrow morning of what we're going to do. And so you'll start seeing that messaging come out probably tomorrow afternoon. And remember, if we start seeing impacts on Monday, the shelters will have to be open prior to those impacts. So that timeline could change, the storm could speed up, it could slow down. There are all sorts of variables that play into it. So that's why it's really important we all keep kind of checking in throughout the weekend on all of the messaging that's coming out. Don't buy into the hype. I know the media everywhere is going to hype this up because it's the first storm of the year, really. But use, vetted, verified messaging from the National Hurricane Center or from the Emergency Management Office here, because that's going to be, the most verified messaging that you can find. And I think I see a couple other hands. Victoria, is your hand up?
Yeah, I'm wondering, speaking of messaging, what times we should be expecting updates from your team so that we can share that with clients, and so that I can, do things like post that on social media to make sure the word gets out.
Sure. So we have a PIOs are already here too. So they're going to be pushing out messaging from
Something
the
fun tomorrow.
Yeah, so the Pinellas County, all their
Nothing
social
fun in a
media,
while.
website, etc. You'll start hearing that really coming out starting tomorrow. And then the emails from me are usually going to be later in the day, just because that's really the time that we kind of have the information for the day and start talking about the next day. So I would kind of keep your eyes on, or maybe around the afternoon, we'll start pushing out more and more messaging from those trusted media sites, the Pinellas County Emergency Management, Pinellas County, et cetera. We'll have all that information.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then I think Arrow, your hand was up.
Yeah, I know both housed and unhoused, we've gotten a huge inundation the last 2 years, like during the pandemic, of people from other states that have never been through a hurricane. So I have a feeling there's probably, and we haven't had one in quite a while. So I assume the hype's going to be pretty high for it, and people, scrambling for shelters and so forth. So just thinking in terms of our most vulnerable population, almost if they can, I think with our emails and stuff, maybe get a little bit of lead time to make sure that they are getting housed, especially since they're out on the street, where some of these people might be, at least in apartments and stuff, before sheltering.
Sure. So what I can do is, as soon as our policy group determines when shelters will be opening, I'll just send a very brief email out to all of you or maybe I'll send it through HLA and can send out through this same group, just so you at least know when shelters will be opening. And then it'll have more detailed information in the evening. But I think that's kind of a critical piece is when those shelters will be opening, so we can start messaging that out to folks.
And Jessica, I happen to notice in the distribution list that the list probably needs to be updated, but it was obvious, it was conspicuous to me that I did not see anyone from our PATH unit as a part of this distribution. And PATH is our Police Assisting the Homeless. They oftentimes have been involved with transport during cold night shelters and otherwise. So I know that some of us as city employees, we get the notifications from the EOC as a part of our positions, but I'm just concerned that they're not on that distribution list for this meeting. And they may not know that they may know that shelters are open,
Sure.
but they may not know that we're trying to collaborate to address those who are living unhoused.
And Teresa, I did identify quite a few providers that were missing from the original invite list and sent them out to about an additional 20 individuals, including Carrick, who I spoke directly to. And he
Yeah.
has a bunch of the cards that we spoke of as well. So I
Okay.
did get that messaging to go out to PATH, and he said he would relay it to the call team.
Well, there's
And
Sergeant Carrick.
And he's on the call. There he
Hey.
is.
I forwarded the appointment to him too, Dominique. So glad to see you, Sarge.
Thank you, Teresa.
And I think Monica put in the
Excuse me,
chat,
this is
if there's anybody that's missing from this that needs to be added, if you'll add their email, because I know HLA is who sent this out and kind of holds that list. So I think they're happy to include anybody else that we think is appropriate or update any contact.
excuse me. This is Steve Cleveland with the Florida Dream Center.
Go ahead.
We have been in the last several the hurricanes and everything that we've had in Florida. We are prepared to take our vans and take people, the homeless, and we go around and round them up and we take them to the shelters. And we've been doing that for years and we continue to do that and we plan to do it again.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that update. And what we might plan for on Monday is kind of a more time for status updates from everyone. I know this was kind of the first meeting and it's late on a Friday, but we'd love to hear kind of what you all have going on. I think Monday will be appropriate time to collect that information. So just kind of put that in the back of your head that we'll spend a little more time on that for Monday. But thank you.
Cool.
All right. Are there any other questions or thoughts, comments? Well, we appreciate the support from all of you. We appreciate for sure the support from HLA. And thank you to Dominique. Monitor all of the vetted information that's going to be coming out. It's going to be a lot of information coming from all over, but make sure you're looking at those trusted sources. I would say now is the time to make sure also that your organizations are prepared for things such as power outages, any sort of feeding or staffing needs you're going to have. Now is definitely the time to start getting all of that in order, getting and reviewing your preparedness plans and stocking up on any supplies that you may need or your families may need. So it looks like we're gonna see some impacts early next week.
Very cool. Well, let's just all pray that the hurricane goes past us and we don't have to worry about this.
I like that idea.
But we need to be prepared if it does.
All right, well, thank you all. If you need anything, you have my contact information. I'll put together that email as soon as I get a minute here with all this information that I went over, and then feel free to push that out. And if there are things that you would like to hear or information that is missing that you'd like to know about, we can start including that on these calls as well.
Thanks for the call.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jessica.
Thank you. Bye.